Hello everyone, this is Michelle and I'm here to do your June 2020 interactive astrology reading. So with this reading, we're going to have some fun. I'm going to ask you to apply the interpretations to your own natal chart. If you don't have your natal chart handy, you can actually probably listen without it because you'll know where these interpretations are going on in your life anyway. But it could be fun also to pull up a chart and compare it to your actual own natal chart. So I'm going to recommend, actually now, I really like the site AstroSeek. I find they have a really top-notch chart generator. If you want to pull yours up, you only need your place of birth, the date, and the time, and that'll do the trick. And hopefully you can print that up or bring it up on another screen. And you can always have it handy, right, whenever we do a reading. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started now with, we're going to start actually with the first conjunction that I'm looking at, which has to do with Venus in Gemini. Okay, we're back to Venus in Gemini, retrograde, starting out with some similar themes to last month. Oh my goodness. So let me say happy birthday to the Gemini people and the Cancer people that have birthdays in June. I'm realizing that and remembering because I'm looking at the sun here in Gemini, and so happy birthday. You know, there's something very positive going on here, and I see a lot of creative communication going on. I can't overlook, though, what's going on in the world as a whole also, and so it is a difficult time, and so we're going to bring some of that up as well. But I do want to say a lot of potential for creativity, personal creativity in the time of June. And this can be related to something verbal, something written, speech, a lot of mental activity, perhaps a lot of visualization around beauty in the month of June for some of us. We are going to want to be expressing ourselves, I want to say, in a way that brings about harmony. And I can't, now I have to get just a little bit into some of the bigger things that are going on in the society now, especially in the United States, but also other parts of the world. And it is that there can be a lot of emotion building up inside that needs to be expressed. And I see that represented in Venus, which can be all about emotions, and the retrograde action moving all the way back to 5 degrees this month, in the month of June, it's just giving me a sense of buildup or sort of like a repression. We need to get things out. And so I want to say that for some of us, it's going to be very important to listen to one another very carefully. Others need to know that we understand how they're feeling. So we can find ourselves on either end of this dynamic, right? Like the real need to express ourselves and have somebody listen, or perhaps somebody really needs to tell you something to get their feelings out, and they need you to listen. Some people are also going to feel a lot of responsibility to mediate dialogues, right? To mediate conversations, to like be in the middle, be the peacemaker between others that are discussing things. And also there's a possibility that some are going to feel like they just need to facilitate communication. So you might find yourself in that role, that you're actually having to help people to talk about things and talk things out. Again, we can see this in the larger community right now as an example, but also it can be on a more personal level. So you might also be looking, if you're looking at your chart and you're looking at Gemini, right? Okay, so you're sort of looking at the middle degrees. Okay, so we'll just keep that in mind. But this can also be in effect, you might feel this also if you have a lot of planets or personal points in Sagittarius or in Pisces or in Virgo. These are the mutable signs and they create hard aspects, right? So you can be feeling this in a little bit more way of perhaps a little bit more tension. It can be a little bit more friction that you're feeling that particular interpretation. It could be for those of you, if you have a lot of planets or personal points. Now, when I say personal points, I'm talking about the ascendant, the descendant, the MC, midheaven, or the IC. Those are personal points, right? Okay. If you have a lot of planets or personal points in air, okay, which would be Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, you might find yourself more in the role of being that peacemaker, striving for peace. Okay, now I'm actually not covering too many aspects again, as I said, but the ones that are showing up are just, they're very powerful, and I feel that they really cover almost the entire month. So the next one that we want to look at is Mars and Neptune, but also the square that it's creating to Gemini. So I want to bring this up. Let's just, if you will just watch Mars here, okay? I'm going to move it up slowly just so you can sort of get an idea of what's happening in the sky. And so there's 13 degrees. Oops, let's see here. 14. Okay, we can see 14. Let's go up to 14. And actually, actually want to stay on. Let's go up to the 5th. Yes. Yeah, that's going to work for me. Okay, now we see Mars at 15 degrees of Pisces. The Sun is at 14 degrees, but I'm going to go ahead, and I know that on this date that it will actually be exact. And so I'm going to just go to hours here, and let's go ahead and move that Sun just 1 hour at a time. Of course, only the moon, if you're looking at the planets moving, it's really only the moon that will be moving very quickly. There goes the moon, and now we have the Sun at 15 as well. Okay, so we have the Sun at 15 degrees of Gemini and Mars. And interestingly, on June 5th. Wow. Okay, so interesting here. All right, let's go ahead and do this one more time. Now we're at the 16th on June 6th, and we see 16 degrees. That's what I meant to say. I'm not sure what I said there. But we see the Sun and Mars at 16 degrees. Well, you can just guess what I'm going to do next, right? Okay. Now we are at the 7th, okay, on the 7th of June. And let's go ahead and move that up. We're still in the same day. And we have the Sun now at 17 degrees on the outer wheel at the bottom of the chart. I want to see Mars at 17 degrees too, though. Okay, and here we are. Okay, so here we have Mars exact, the Sun exact. It really doesn't matter, I have to say. You might be looking at, oh my goodness, it's Greenwich Mean Time, and it's 2 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. That's exactly. But no, I mean, as an astrologer, I like looking at these exact numbers, and it's very interesting to me that on the 5th, we have that exact square at 15 degrees, on the 6th at 16 degrees, and then on the 7th at 17 degrees. What does this mean? You know, it's calling attention to the aspect. Not only that, 17 degrees is a critical degree for the mutable signs. If it's in your chart, okay, so if you have something in your natal chart at 17 degrees of the mutable signs, Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, or Sagittarius, then you can be especially feeling this square and this conjunction here, all right? So while some are working towards peace, right? Some are working towards peace, we know that. We have other people that are feeling more combative. The energies are working against one another. You can find yourself probably on either side of this situation. You can also be experiencing this just yourself internally, wanting to bring more peace into life, but perhaps inside feeling some turmoil of some sort. The seventh could be a particularly, I want to say, a particularly strong day, let me put it that way, for this aspect. But it could be anywhere thereabouts. Some of us are going to feel like it's really hard to express verbally what is going on inside emotionally, right? So here we have Gemini all about communication, and we have the square aspect here with Pisces where everything is just sort of under wraps. It's very deep. It's hard to bring things to the surface because they're so deep. And so we know we have the feelings, but expressing them can be difficult. With Mars involved, some people will feel driven to express themselves physically. So that can be an option, like I can't get this out verbally, and so I'm going to do it physically. Certainly we are seeing that in the month of June, but you might even feel it in your own personal life. Let me bring up, I'm going to get into something very positive about this, okay, because I always am mindful that I want to bring in the positivity here. But I do want to go to June 12th to make a point about this, okay? So on June 12th, I just jumped ahead, and we see Mars is now conjunct Neptune in Pisces. And we still have the square. The sun is at 22 degrees of Gemini, so we still have the square. So here's another date to keep in mind, right around the 12th. It's really the first half of June. It's the same idea, really. I mean, we have the same idea going on, that we just can't understand the depth of emotion that we are experiencing or the depth of our thoughts. It can be even confusing at this point, and there can be a real need to communicate with somebody, to release it. And so again, I want to get back to this Venus and Gemini the whole month. Boy, if you're on the end of the listener, the person who is listening, I just want to say that that is such a gift at this time for people that are experiencing these extremely difficult emotions. It can be really anything that is quite difficult to experience. And so when we get into the personal life, it can be anything that's very hard to cope with. And so, listening is really going to help people out at this time. Now, for some people with this Mars involved and Neptune and Pisces, okay, for some, this can be a time to really take action in areas where we may have felt really stuck about something or even frustrated for a long time. This is also, it can be very positive and highly creative. We might not think about it too much. It might be like something that you've been thinking about forever and ever. How do you want things to change in your life? It could be something along those lines. Some way perhaps that you're living, something going on in life. And suddenly you might find, I'm not going to think about this too much. I'm going to start doing things, Mars. I'm going to start doing things instinctually based on my intuition, which is Neptune, right? They're together here in the conjunction. They're together now. We have the intuition, the knowingness about what to do, and physically doing it, all wrapped up into one. This can be extremely positive. enough already with the planning. I'm just going to do it. And I know how to do it now. I know it deep down inside. Whatever it is that you have had planned for so long, this can be the time. I am going to bring out, I'm going to move into the this next conjunction here with Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn, and I want to say, I mean, look at this. We have a sextile, and so this is suggesting a great opportunity at this time to make very positive changes. I can't stress it enough. I know it's difficult with the square and everything that is going on, both in the world and in our own personal lives, but the opportunities are also tremendous. So let's take a look now. I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to jump up to the 22nd now. We're going to skip all this middle part of the month, but really what I've been talking about, boy, it's in effect. It's in effect. It's in the air. It's in the sky. It's in our lives all month, but we're going to jump ahead to the 22nd. And we can still see here Mars in Pisces, and Neptune, of course, is here for the longest time. But I want to take a look at Jupiter in this exact conjunction to Pluto. We have Saturn at 0 degrees of Aquarius coming back to Capricorn. Well, if you follow astrology, I know you've been listening to this for the last couple years, right? About Capricorn and these very slower moving planets going through this area. But you know, something is happening here. It's a potential trigger point. It's an exact conjunction with these retrograde planets. So towards the end of June, this is something that we may feel more strongly. And that is what I am picking up for this month. The need to learn to let go of some of the old, or to be willing to let go of it. We either need to learn how to let go or to be willing to let go of it so that we can make room for new growth, to regenerate. This is like cutting back roses or pruning a tree. It has to be done in order to bring about and facilitate new growth. But with Jupiter involved, some people will be realizing in June that they need to let go of a lot. This is a lot. And with Saturn involved, that is telling us that this act or this task or this action is going to require potentially a lot of mental, emotional, or spiritual discipline. It won't be easy. We're talking about very big, right? Jupiter, very big lessons. Saturn. It's a big lesson. For many of us, we can sense that we're getting towards a pinnacle moment here. I'm talking about big processes, right? We're talking about Pluto, Saturn. We're talking about many years here. Still, we're coming to an important juncture. Now, I should say that this pattern, this interpretation, actually it's in effect for the rest of 2020 because Jupiter will be in Capricorn until December 2020 when it goes into Aquarius. But it's just that things are emphasized at this current time. Let's talk a little bit about Jupiter and Saturn now. Okay. They will together move in to Aquarius in December. They remain conjunct in Aquarius through January and February of 2021. So they're moving together. There's a message there. And even now, they are conjunct, even though it's loose and out of sign. This is telling me that collectively, together, that the more we are facing restrictions or loss, that's all about Saturn, the more we are called upon to rely on our faith, which is Jupiter. So there is a lesson here about relying on faith and your spiritual beliefs to remain positive and to carry on. We're learning big lessons also about shaping our goals, Pluto and Capricorn, and determining what we want for our future lives. This can be happening again on a collective level and also on a personal level. All right, I have one other thing that I want to just mention or talk about, and that is the solar eclipse. Right, we actually have a lunar eclipse on June 5th, all right, with that full moon at 15 degrees of, let's take a look at that, 15 degrees of Sagittarius. Okay, well it's at 11 right here, but we can easily move that up, right? Okay, we are on hours. Let's see, can we get it right there to 15 degrees? Whoops, okay, a little good, right about there, okay? So right about there we can see the opposition here between the sun at 15 degrees. And did I go a little bit too far? Okay, I'll make it exact. There we go. Okay, so we see the opposition here on June 5th, and this is actually the evening that I am recording this under a lunar eclipse. Okay, marvelous. The shadow of the Earth blocks the moon. Okay, now we can't see that actually in the States, but in other areas of the world that will be going on. Let's take a look now at the, well, let's see, June 20th is the summer solstice, and so this could be a day maybe to just make new plans, make new affirmations, be very positive about life moving forward. Here we go. And because of the time, we're seeing it at 29 degrees, but of course 0 degrees of Cancer would be the solstice. I want to take it up to 21 now. Okay. And let's see, I'm going to have to bring her back here just a little bit. Let's go hours. You can see what I'm trying to do is I know when I'm looking at the chart and I want to find the solar eclipse and the new moon. I've gone just a little bit past it here, you can see, and so I just want to get the moon right there, conjunct the sun. So let's just take her back just a little bit. It won't take too long. Here we go. Oh boy. Wow, look at that. Wow. I mean, that's fascinating. At 0 degrees of Cancer. I mean, it's truly fascinating. I mean, we're still here under the influence of the solstice, and you can see, of course, the North Node here. We always have the node involved with an eclipse. We wouldn't see the eclipse if we didn't have the node there. But this is just fascinating, right? And so let's take a look at the chart just for a second, and we're just going to imagine for a moment. Let's take this glyph of the moon, and let's just take that moon and let's just like put it right here. Let's pretend that the moon is right here. Okay, here's the moon right here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep the sun right here. Okay. And then let's just pretend that the Earth is right here. Okay, so here's the Earth. And the moon, actually, it's starting here and it's moving along, and boom, here we go. The moon is in front of the sun from our vantage point on Earth. And so what I wanted to say about that is, well, first of all, it's in Cancer. And so although, in ancient times, eclipses signified something that would was potentially unpleasant, let's say, that's probably putting it mildly, but we know that eclipses signify change. That is the main thing that they signify, change. And change can be very, very positive and good. It can be difficult, though, also, right? And so, where is 0 degrees of Cancer in your chart? Because you may find that you're undergoing some change in that area of life for the solar eclipse. Now, I have, I just, it's the way that I am. I take a positive sort of take on everything. I feel like the information can be used positively. I feel that there's a positive message in there, even if the reality of life is that it can be difficult. And the message that I am taking, because we have this occurring in Cancer at this time, is that this is a time for us to nurture one another and to nurture ourselves so that we can assist others or help ourselves to make these important changes. It is all about love. It is about loving others and loving ourselves. At the time of the summer solstice, this might be something that we make an affirmation about, to be more loving to others and to our own self. Thank you everyone so much for being here. It's a pleasure and a privilege to do these readings for you. I'm so happy you're here, and I look forward to seeing you or meeting with you again next month. See you next time.